Did you know that the average medium-sized t-shirt has a 4.6-inch diameter sleeve, which means that you have to have a minimum 14-inch unflexed arm in order to fill it? A large size increases the requirements to a 15-inch unflexed arm. In an XL shirt, you'd have to have almost 16-inch arms to prevent this ugly bagginess. But what if all your shirts are looking way too loose right now? It's time to change your arm training. Today I'm going to show you 5 things you're going to want to change to your biceps and triceps training that will completely change the effectiveness of your arm workouts in just the next 30 days. And if you were hoping I'd give you a step-by-step routine that you can perform over the next 4 weeks to remove all the guesswork, well, you're in luck because I'm going to do exactly that at the end of this video. What's up guys, Jeff Cavalier, ATHLEAN-X.com. Look, I know you're doing your curls and your tricep pushdowns, but then why is it you're not filling up your shirt sleeves? I mentioned that the unflexed arm has to be about 14 inches to fill even a medium-sized shirt. But if you flex it, well, you can get away with maybe 15.25 or 15.5. And whether you're wearing a medium, a large, or an extra large, and whether you're wearing a medium, a large, and whether you're wearing a, fact is, you're gonna have to make your arms bigger, and the thing is, it's not an exercise alone that's gonna do the job, it's avoiding the 5 big mistakes you're likely making right now, and that's my job to help you to figure them out now. Now look, I'm not against using heavy weights when you train your biceps or your triceps, but if your main focus is building strength when you're training your arms, you're off track. You see, your focus should be on intensifying your arm workouts and not really caring necessarily what the weight is. Now, I'm not saying that you can't drive arm growth in both your biceps and triceps by progressively overloading the weights that you're using, but you gotta stop applying a powerlifting approach to your arm exercises. You see, on a deadlift or a squat, leaving some reps in reserve is gonna be key to seeing those progressive strength gains down the road, but you're not gonna have that much capacity to build strength on these arm exercises. But what you can do is increase the effectiveness of every set you do by taking it to failure. I'm talking about all the way, not just to failure, but through failure, because there's many techniques that allow this. Drop sets, in particular things like run the rack when you're training your biceps, or run the stack when you're training your triceps, or mechanical drop sets where changing the position of your body, utilizing the same weight, allows you to keep going beyond the point of failure from one exercise to the next in that sequence. Or even things like 21s that are prolonging the set by dividing the range of motion up into different sections. The point is, I care less about the weight that you're lifting if you're going to be leaving reps in the tank when you perform those lifts. Instead, take them all the way to failure, and I promise you're going to see bigger and better gains. And mistake number 2 actually builds off of that first point, because the pursuit of strength oftentimes leads you down the path of pursuing efficient movement. In other words, with the least amount of wasted effort. Well, I'm telling you, if you want to build bigger muscles, you should seek inefficiency, namely through something like an eccentric overload on every single repetition you perform. That means on the way down, you're lowering the weight slowly, applying additional burn and tension. It's exactly probably the part of the rep right now that you speed through. You figure you get that rep to the end, and then you just have to drop it back into place to perform another rep. I'm saying that's the portion of the rep that provides the biggest growth opportunity, because eccentric overload stretches that muscle under tension, provides the damage that you need to grow back bigger and stronger. You might be saying, but Jeff, they're not safe, are they? Controlled eccentrics are incredibly safe. As a matter of fact, if I did a lying tricep extension, not only do I have the chance to take this nice slow eccentric on the way down, but if I had to get rid of the bar here, I could safely drop it behind me. The same thing would happen here with a curl. If it started to become too much for me to handle, the drop position here is always away from the body when performing arm exercises, which gives us that added safety built in. But if you're not sure what the best exercises are to apply that eccentric overload, again, don't worry, I'm gonna give you all that step by step at the end. But before we get there, I have to cover the next thing that I know about you, and that is the next mistake you're likely making. You're forgetting all about that little muscle right there. That's the brachialis. It's a different muscle than your biceps. The exact way that the soleus is different than the gastroc, you wouldn't just train one of those 2 muscles. Well, why are you doing that here with your arms? Because you're missing this muscle, or at least you're just not doing it often enough. Sprinkling in brachialis exercises every now and then is not going to get you the biggest arms possible. And I can speak from direct experience here. So I tore my biceps a 1.5 years ago. And when I did, I tore the long head of the bicep that's responsible for that peak that you oftentimes see. Now, the brachialis is a muscle, again, separate, that sits underneath that portion of the arm and actually helps to push the biceps up as it grows. To overcome the loss of bicep peak from that torn long head, I introduced a lot more brachialis training into my workouts. Throw in the fact when this muscle is developed, it's not just contributing to height, but also to the overall width of the arm. contributing to that overall fullness of that shirt sleeve. Now there's two particular exercises that I like the most for hitting the brachialis muscle, and I'm going to include those step by step in that 30-day plan. But suffice it to say now, this is a non-negotiable when it comes to your training. You can't skip the brachialis anymore. And the next mistake, now we focus back on the triceps again. And this is less about forgetting a muscle and more about a method of training a muscle. You see, the triceps get plenty of work. They don't just get trained directly in your triceps training, but of course they get some additional work with your chest training and shoulder training. But are they getting enough direct work? You see, you can do more if you introduce bodyweight exercises like this that you could do here down on the floor. See, a simple push-up gives us a chance later in the week to increase the volume that the tricep undergoes directly. Remember, I said they have the capacity, because of all the work it does in the chest and shoulder training, to handle more than, let's say, the biceps do. But if you don't adjust your training to account for that, you're not going to get the most growth possible. So what I like to do is just introduce additional bodyweight tricep work throughout the week. Simple exercises can be something like the cobra push-up or a bench dip. And in both of these instances, the focus here happens to be on putting that long head of the triceps in a more complete contracted position. Remember, the long head is the one responsible for the most size of the three tricep heads. Or you can place it on more of a stretch by performing this exercise, which is just a bodyweight tricep extension. These are lower intensity but still higher reward. And don't be confused by the higher reps that you can perform here, because we've already established that you can create hypertrophy gains in higher rep ranges as long as you take them once again to failure. The key point is that bodyweight tricep exercises act as volumizers to your total triceps workload, which ultimately results in bigger triceps. Now the next mistake is actually one of the sneakiest, because you could be doing everything textbook right. Every exercise you should be, performing exactly as you should be, and still screwing this up. Because I can't feel what you feel. I can see what you're doing, but I can't feel how it's feeling to you. And if you're not feeling the exercise exactly where you should be, I'm telling you right now, you're wasting a lot of potential gains. So if we look at the biceps, we measure this in terms of the ability to contract that muscle to a point of discomfort. So try this along with me. When you flex your arm, you have to be able to get it to a point where you feel almost a balling up or a cramping in that arm. There's three parts you have to do. You bend the elbow, you turn the forearm up or turn the hand or pinky out, and then you raise the arm up just a little bit. At that point, as I am right now, you should be feeling an intense contraction here to the point where you almost have to let it go. That cramping right there is too uncomfortable for you to maintain that contraction. Well, that gives you a good sense of the mind muscle contraction capability that you already have with that muscle, so adding weight to the exercises you're doing is going to be more productive. With the triceps, it's extending of the elbow and then getting it back behind the body. So if I can get this arm back behind the body with a straight elbow, I can feel that balling up of the triceps that makes holding that position more uncomfortable. If you don't have either of those uncomfortable moments in place, we're going to get them. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that too. And that too starts right now as I give you this 30-day plan that I promised you before. Now what you're going to do here is incorporate all of the principles that we've already talked about into one efficient plan. And over the course of the next 30 days, you're going to learn just how valuable these concepts are and get you off and running to those bigger arms. Now, those thumbnail level gains are going to be reserved for those that commit to this process not just one time, but many times over. So how do we lay this out? Well, you're going to have just 3 workouts to perform over the next 30 days. One is going to be dedicated to the biceps, where we're going to use intensity and eccentric overload as the driver of your gains. The second workout is going to be dedicated to your triceps, where once again, we're going to use intensity and eccentric overload as the driver of your gains. The third workout is going to be something we call the missing pieces, where we take the brachialis work you may not be doing right now, along with some of that additional volume through bodyweight tricep work, and combine them into one effective day. Now the next question you might ask is, well Jeff, when do I do this? If you took a basic total body split and performed it on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we would actually add these to the end of each of those 3 workouts. So let's say biceps on Monday, triceps on Wednesday, and again the missing pieces workout on Friday. Now you may not all be following a total body split. There's a lot of different variations, but in general, on your pull day or bicep day or back day is when you want to do the bicep workout. On your push day or chest day or tricep day is when you want to do the tricep workout. And of course, your missing pieces day can kind of fit in on any other training day as long as it's within the same training week. Now let's look at that dedicated biceps day, because here again, we're going to take those first 2 principles we covered in this video of the overload created through intensity, specifically through drop sets and mechanical drop sets, as well as eccentric overload. So the first exercise up, you're going to take a weight that's your 10 rep max on a dumbbell incline curl. And instead of doing 10 reps, you're gonna perform just 5 repetitions, but most importantly, taking a 3-second slow eccentric lowering of the dumbbells and then 1 second back up to the top. You do 5 repetitions. If you do the math right there, that should be 20 seconds of work. Without resting, you immediately sit up, again, changing the position of the body in a mechanical drop set to now perform just a seated dumbbell curl. You should be able to continue because this position is going to be slightly easier. 5 more repetitions done here with that same 3-second eccentric lowering. And then you simply lean forward and now perform a drag curl. Once again, a slightly easier exercise because of the change in position of the body. 5 more repetitions, 3 seconds on the way down, 1 second up. That gives you a total of 1 minute of work. Now the drop set portion comes in by just simply opting for a lighter weight. So drop the weights that you just used, pick up 5 pounds lighter, and go through the whole sequence again. The idea is to get through 5 to 6 total minutes of this for a really quick but really intense biceps workout. Now the dedicated tricep workout is going to be similar in length but a little bit different looking. You're gonna take that same incline bench and perform a lying dumbbell extension, but we're also going to importantly perform this in 21 style. That means we're going to divide the repetition up into thirds. You start with 7 reps in the top 1/3 of the range of motion. When you're done with these, you go right into the bottom 1/3 of the range of motion once again for 7 reps. And then you try to perform 7 full range of motion reps. This whole sequence should take you about 1 minute. At this point, turn your body over, invert it on that incline bench, and perform a dumbbell kickback. This exercise is going to uniquely put that long head of the triceps in its fully contracted position with those arms back behind the body. You'll notice that I'm looking for you to get that good, strong contraction by holding it for even just a second at the top on every single repetition. Try to continue to rep out for that full minute. Now the weight that you used on the first exercise should be applicable here because you had to lighten it a little bit to do that full 21 rep style on the first exercise. Now in the third portion of this, your triceps should be pretty burned out, but we do have the opportunity to tap into that eccentric capacity. We do that by lying on our back and performing an eccentric only skull crusher. I'm gonna basically bench press the dumbbells all the way up to the top and then slowly lower them every single repetition to just drive home that final nail in the coffin. Well, sort of, because that's just 3 minutes of work. You gotta do this 2 times. Now in the missing pieces day, you actually have 2 choices to make. The first is which bodyweight tricep exercise do you want to pick, and the second is which hammer curl variation do you want to pick. And all you're going to do is take that 1 hammer curl and sandwich it between 2 different rounds of the bodyweight exercise of choice. Now the first thing you do is a bodyweight tricep exercise for 2 to 3 sets all the way to failure, and I'm looking for these to be high repetition sets, right, where you're burning out and taking advantage of metabolic fatigue and the driver it can be in terms of bringing new hypertrophy and gains. From here we go into 3 to 4 sets of that hammer curl variation that you chose. Again, 10 to 12 repetitions is the goal, but you're taking each one of these to failure. And then finally we wrap back around and bookend the workout by going back to that original bodyweight tricep exercise and doing 2 to 3 more sets all the way till failure. Now each time you encounter this workout throughout the next 30 days, feel free to swap up and change the exercises as you so choose. As a matter of fact, it'd probably be your best bet because each one of the exercises hits each of those muscle groups slightly differently. Now the one thing I haven't done yet is talk about the flexing recommendations. When would you do that? Well, it's actually sort of open choice to you, and it does not have to happen within the walls of this gym. As a matter of fact, when you're trying to develop a mind-muscle connection, doing more of that is going to serve you well. So I don't care if you're flexing when you're in your office or if you're flexing before you go to bed at night. Just trying to develop that good, strong contraction by taking them incrementally, piece by piece, through that contraction so that you really, really feel it and develop, ultimately, that cramping feeling. If you want to do this in your workouts, just simply follow up a tricep exercise with the flexing or a bicep exercise with the flexing. Again, it's not necessarily something you could do too much. Just make sure you're doing enough of it to develop the connection you're lacking right now. And with each of these 3 components in place, you now have a game plan for attacking the next 30 days of your arm training, filling in the gaps right now that might be keeping you in that bag of your sleeve. And so just like that, you have a step-by-step game plan. And as always, guys, I'm giving you the screenshots here so you can follow along exactly. Again, this does not have to be confined to just the 30 days. It has the capability of continuing to deliver the gains as long as you're willing to continue to put in the effort.
Wait. I got a better way of doing this.
Wear a small size shirt. Boom! Or do that. Don't do that. Put in the work. All right, guys, I'll be back here again in just a few days. If you haven't done so, click subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video when we put one out. All right, guys, see you soon.
So we're an extra small.